Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fine. With Spider-Man 3 finally bringing Spider-Verse in a live-action movie where we'll get to see all the iterations of cinematic Spider-Man coming together on big screen, let's take a look at the very first Spider-Man movie that started it all. In today's time, we are seeing superhero movies releasing every 3 to 6 months in a year, and not only they are amazing, but also financially and critically successful. However, there was a time when superhero movies were not taken seriously and they were considered as a huge risk for production. With Batman and Robin failing in 1997, superhero genre kind of died, and no studio was ready to put money in big budget superhero movies. While Blade had some success and X-Men was also successful, it was 2002's first live-action Spider-Man movie that redefined the modern superhero genre and gave new meaning to summer blockbusters. A live action Spider Man movie was in development since 1977 and went through multiple studios and was cancelled multiple times before it came to Columbia Pictures in 1999. No one was expecting this movie to be released, and no one had imagined how live action Spider Man would look like. But when the teaser trailer released in 2001, everyone got their glimpse of Spider Man for the first time, and literally everyone went crazy. By the time it was ready for release, there was a huge hype for the movie, and it surely delivered or even exceeded expectations on some level after its release. It broke number of box office records including first film to pass the $100 million mark in a single weekend and highest grossing superhero origin film at the time of its release. The movie nailed the tone of Spider-Man. It was the Peter Parker we all knew and could relate to. Those very impactful words from Uncle Ben about power and responsibility that every kid knew who had read the comics or had seen the Spider Man animated series. The relationship of Peter with MJ and his friendship with Harry, everything was set up very perfectly. The entire cast was spot on, with Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker slash Spider Man, Kirsten Dunst as MJ, the love interest of Peter, and James Franco as Peter's best friend Harry. Spider-Man found its perfect villain for origin story in Green Goblin, and Willem Dafoe was spot on in the role of Green Goblin, and he gave an excellent performance which is bit underrated. He became more of a father figure to Peter after Uncle Ben died until he found out about Peter's alter ego. He gave more importance to Peter while ignoring his own son. This established a personal connection between Peter, Norman, and Harry, which resulted in more impactful climax. However, when we talk about the perfect casting, it has to be the role of J. Jonah Jameson that went to J.K. Simmons, and he literally owns the character. It was literally J. Jonah Jameson from comic book and animated series brought to life. The movie just did not have a close to perfect origin story but also a fun tone to it. It did not take itself way too seriously, and that's who Spider Man is. At its core, the movie is about responsibility. Those words from Uncle Ben are echoed throughout the movie. Right from realizing that the thief is Uncle Ben's killer to saving Mary Jane and children both at the same time while he is given a choice by Green Goblin, you are with Peter throughout this journey and you feel for him. This theme based concept gave an emotional depth to the movie, and it is something that we see a lot in superhero movies these days, be it Dark Knight trilogy or Marvel movies. The CGI looks bit dated now, but at that time, just to see Spider Man swing around New York City was a treat to watch. It still raises goosebumps during the final montage when Spider Man swings across the New York City and swings back from top of the Empire State Building right into the ending credits. These montages have been very much part of most of the subsequent Spider Man movies. On top of that, Spider Man had a very memorable theme scored by Danny Elfman, who also had earlier experience of giving background score in superhero movies. The soundtrack literally gets you ready for the action adventure right from the opening credits. We don't get to see that many memorable themes that define superhero these days, except the Avengers movies and Hans Zimmer's soundtracks in DC movies. Spider-Man's success led to two sequels, and they also broke many box office records. While Spider-Man 3 was a box office success, it was criticized with having too many villains and tone of the movie was all over the place, and characters not getting enough time to evolve and fans were upset with Venom not getting enough time in the movie and only getting introduced in final few moments. With this heavy criticism and Sam Raimi not able to finish the script for Spider-Man 4 on time, Sony decided to reboot the franchise. In 2012, we got our first reboot of Spider-Man in The Amazing Spider-Man starring Andrew Garfield in the title role. Movie received mostly mixed to positive reviews. It was criticized for one thing though, that the movie was very dark and took itself way too seriously, which resulted in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 having a very fun tone quite opposite to the first part. In the end, the movie was criticized for being another Spider-Man 3 that had too many villains and being too focused on teasing sequels rather than focusing on its own story. Even though the movie earned more than $600 million globally at the box office, it was the lowest earning movie of Spider-Man franchise till date. This led Sony to team up with Marvel in 2014 and share the Spider-Man character and use him in MCU movies. Spider-Man again made his big screen appearance alongside the Avengers in Captain America Civil War in 2016. Even though it was a small appearance, Tom Holland's performance garnered praise from fans and critics alike, where Marvel absolutely nailed the tone of Spider-Man, and he continues to remain Spider-Man till date, having starred in his own films and also part of extremely successful Avengers movies. The fun tone with emotional drama and hardcore action that we see in today's Marvel movies would have never been possible if it was not for the blueprint set by the very first Spider-Man movie that released in 2002. It laid the groundwork for an origin story and raised the expectations on how the modern superhero movies should look and feel like. What do you think about the first Spider-Man movie? And what was your reaction when you saw any live action Spider-Man in theaters for the first time? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more such content. Thank you so much guys, stay safe.